everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Jess. I talk about writing, self-publishing, and travel. And in today's video, we are going to be unpacking this thing called writer's guilt, which if you haven't heard of it or you haven't experienced it for yourself, is the guilt you feel for not writing. Now, when I was still actively involved in certain online writing communities, there was one fundamental truth that kept coming up over and over again. And from what I understand, it was very loosely based off of something Stephen King had said in his book on the writer's craft. And basically, Stephen King, who, let's not forget, is a full-time writer, said that in order to be a real writer, you must write every day. And I know a lot of traditionally published household names will tell you that, yes, if you want to be a writer, if you want to write full-time for a living, you must write every day. You must find a writing routine that works for you and stick with it religiously. But as somebody who sort of abandoned the career of writing, more or less, and now only writes as a hobby, I have been wrestling with this feeling of writer's guilt and not doing as much as I feel like I should be doing for my stories. Now, when I say that this feeling has hounded me for years, I don't mean continuously. It's been a sort of on and off problem that I've dealt with ever since I started self-publishing in 2010. Prior to that, I didn't really feel the same kind of pressure that I do now. Granted, that pressure is 100% self-imposed, so at any given point in time, I could just decide to not feel that guilt, theoretically, but unfortunately, I've been at this for so long that now it is ingrained in me to make writing a habit and to show up and push through and get words on the page and fix them later. But it's really tough. I think sometimes a lot of people underestimate just how much mental fortitude it takes to show up to a blank page or a half-written scene and push through and find the right words and bring that scene to life. And having written as many books as I have written, I know for a fact that I have good days, great days, bad days, terrible days, and days where I just want to throw in the towel and say, you know what, it's not even worth it anymore. I'm done, forget it. However, on those days when I feel like I could write, but I also don't want to write, we've all been there, let's be honest. There's always that nagging feeling. There's that voice in the back of my head that says, you know what, you're just sitting here. You might as well get 50 or 100 words down. And it does seem like a very small, manageable goal, which of course, because it is so small and manageable, my guilt is amplified if I don't just commit to that little nugget of progress. Then of course, I'm into the scene and I'm like, you know what, I've written 400 words, I could probably do another 400. So I've forced myself to go forward and to do that. And I want to say that in probably about 75% of cases, once I start writing, I feel kind of good about it. Like, yeah, I'm sitting down, I'm doing it, I'm immersed in the scene, let's keep going. But then I always tell myself, okay, the next time I get this feeling, I'm going to block it out, I'm going to ignore it, I'm not going to feel that guilt whatsoever. And then inevitably, I do. As I said, this has been going on for years. There was a time when I didn't write every single day. In fact, there was a time that I didn't write at all. I took probably a 3 or 4 year hiatus from writing in my early 20s. And when I got back into it, I wasn't yet part of the writing community. I didn't really see myself as wanting to have a writing career. It was just something I had been doing for fun ever since I was like 8 or 9 years old. So that voice was non-existent. It was maybe a whisper every once in a while in my ear. But then I gradually started to fall down into this hole of feeling like nothing I wrote was good enough, nothing I wrote was abundant enough. So recently I started really doing a little bit of self-reflection, trying to find out where that was coming from, because that doesn't just apply to writing, that applies to a whole lot of different aspects of my life, my career, my personal life, that sort of thing. I'm kind of glad that I succumbed to the bout of writer's guilt because it really forced me to examine my relationship with work and productivity in general. Now, that being said, I think it is important, especially when you're starting out, you're trying to cultivate that writing habit, I think it is important to push through the initial resistance. Because the reality is, writing is hard. Writing a book is a lot of work. It requires quite a bit of commitment in terms of time and effort. And initially, it's not going to feel fun. Maybe those first few chapters, when you got that new idea, shiny new idea syndrome as they call it, that's pretty exciting. but that novelty wears off very quickly once you get into the thick of the plot and the characters are pretty much doing their own thing as they begin to grow into themselves. Then it's like, yeah, this is kind of boring. And so once excitement fades away, then discipline is what keeps you going towards the finish line. And so I get it. I've been there. And lately I have been there quite a bit because Emma's story is now 43,000 words. I am approaching the halfway point, which is probably going to be around 46,000 words once, I get into it. But the reality is I've been feeling that guilt a lot. And this week, I have been forcing myself to write for a couple of hours every night after work, even though I've been putting in these 10, 12-hour days. And I know it's not healthy. And again, this is not a new feeling for me. But it is a feeling that I wanted to sit down and discuss with all of you guys because this is a writer's life vlog. And this is me trying to be a little bit more transparent about the creative process and some of the personal struggles that I go through in the course of writing anything. Now, since we're on the topic of Emma's story, first of all, that is not the final title, that is just a working title. It does take place in the same universe as my series, but I don't really want to title it the same way I've been titling my series. I wanted this story to be seen as not really a standalone, but independent of the series. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to be titling it, or if I'm even going to be releasing it as part of the series or as a separate story. I don't know. I'm not there yet. I'm still in the thick of the drafting stage, and right now I'm feeling really, really good about the story. I think I have something here that's got quite a bit of substance, a lot of layers to peel back, but I'm also a little bit worried that I'm not going to be able to end it properly. That is a problem for the first round of developmental edits, so I'm really trying not to get caught up in the urge to edit as I go along, because that is where I slow down, and that's where I start to lose my momentum and want to walk away. For those of you who are subscribed to my newsletter, I will be sending out a very short teaser from the story, probably sometime within the next couple of weeks. If you haven't subscribed, you can go to my website and do that right now. I send out a monthly newsletter that talks about my writing process, my current projects, gives you a little bit of a behind-the-scenes sneak peek at some of the things that I'm working on that don't necessarily show up on my website or here in these videos. So, I'll give you a second if you want to pause this video, head on over to my website, and then hopefully you'll be on my mailing list the next time around. I've been thinking that for now, I think Emma's story will be the last book I publish. I don't know. I say that about absolutely every project. Towards the middle and end of it, I say, you know what, this is going to be the last one, and then inevitably it is not. So that's on me. That's just something that I need to figure out in terms of what I want my long-term game plan to be. But for right now, I feel like if I'm going to continue writing stories that are true to who I am, stories that resonate with people on a deeper level, on a more meaningful level, I feel like I need to remove the pressure of publishing for a little while. I know it's not quite the middle of July, but I do have a pretty busy month planned, so I wanted to make sure that I got on here, got this update recorded and uploaded for you guys, and then hopefully maybe in another week or two I will be sending out my author newsletter that kind of covers the rest of my bases that were not covered in this video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out, like and comment if you feel so inclined, and I will catch you sometime in the future, hopefully towards the end of the month, but if not, definitely in August. Anyway guys, I hope you're enjoying your summer so far. Take care. Bye.